Anthony, I called today's show the No Vacancy Free for All because I'm pretty sure it's going to be no holds barred. Who knows what's going to happen kind of episode today?
Where did the terminology free for all come from?
Great question. My guess is somebody was giving away some stuff. I'll leave it on in some bad free for all humor.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's Anthony Melchiori. I'm Glenn Hausman, and aren't you happier to be in a world where we're paying 0.5% less in interest? How you doing, buddy?
Good. I'm trying to figure out where free for all came from.
Yeah,
and
I love it. Yeah.
1868, especially in reference to open horses, American English, earlier as a noun in reference to free for all horses in motor car races.
Huh. Oh, interesting.
So
Interesting.
mass brawl in which one may a free for all is a mass brawl which one may participate. 1918. From earlier 1868, especially in reference to open horses, American English, earlier as a noun in reference to free for all horses and race cars.
Nice. And Dr. Producer Suzanne says an 1868 horse race. Love it. That's pretty cool. You know, I used to go to the racetrack a lot when I was a kid. I was raised mostly at Belmont and Aqueduct. Did you know that?
Do you know where the first real rich destination was on the East Coast back in the early 1900s?
Yes.
The Vanderbilts and the Astors and all, Rockefellers all used to go in summer.
Sticking with the horses, I'm going to go with Saratoga.
Nope.
No? All right.
And Suzanne, you can pull it up.
Yeah.
Sheepshead Bay Racetrack in Brooklyn.
No way.
Where I grew up. And the first video, put in, Suzanne, put in the first moving video, Thomas Edison. And
that's the horse.
You will see what you've seen that horse?
Yeah, I think but that video, they actually proved that horses have all four legs off the ground.
Well, guess where that video shot?
I'm going to take a wild guess and saying what you just mentioned.
Sheepshead Bay. Probably where he was standing, we figured out, was probably the apartment building where I grew up in.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That was Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, buddy.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, you know, my wife used to teach at Bay Ridge Prep, which is in that general-ish.
Oh, area. Sure. Same for, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
All great things come out of Brooklyn. Do you know Michael Jordan was born on Flatbush Avenue?
No.
Yeah. Do you know Tiger Woods hit his first golf club at Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah. Do you know Anthony Melchiori comes from Brooklyn?
Wow. I had no idea. My dad's from Brooklyn too. So, you know.
Yeah. Barbara Streisand.
My dad's high school. I think they were in the same class.
Madison.
Yeah.
They were in the same class?
I think so. Or in school at the same time. I have to check to see how old she is compared to how old my dad would have been.
Big school.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Kim says, hey, sup, guys? Hey, Kim. Hope you're doing well. So we're just going to be BSing today. We got some topics that we thought we would talk about, including those Fed cuts and some other issues out there. But if you guys have a question, anything you'd like to ask us, let us know. We're here and happy to share what we know.
The first thing I want to talk about is how is the rate cut going to affect the hotel business?
Right. So this is something that we've been talking about for a while, Anthony, and being on the road for, I don't know, the last X amount of years. One of the things that everyone is very, very tuned into is that rate cut. And Anthony, one of the questions I had been asking is really 0.25%, 0.5%. Is that really going to make a big difference if something like that happens? And my guess is no, but apparently I'm completely wrong. Because what happens is when you start to see these rate cuts, it makes deals that may not have been attractive suddenly become palatable or hits the sweet spot for what they need to get done. So that's what I was hearing beforehand. And now anecdotally, people seem to be saying that the wheels are going to be a little bit greased to get deals done, assuming that the banks are going to lend.
But now I think they're also, what I'm hearing from my end is I'm hearing that they're waiting for another rate cut. right? Why, grab the first slice of pie when the second slice of pie tastes better? So that's what I'm hearing. But I think people are starting to look at deals, and but deals, but going into 2025, it doesn't look great. We're looking at a RevPAR index climb of maybe 2.5%. Rates are, salaries are getting higher, taxes are getting higher, things are more expensive, and 2.5% RevPAR, you have to really, really run a tight ship in order to just make what you made in 2024.
Yeah.
So the deals may be there, but the P&Ls, I think people are concerned about transient. I think transient's getting softer. Group looks good, but the transient client, I think they're starting to pay off their credit card bills and saying, you know what, we got to take a time out.
Yep. Agreed.
So, so yeah, it's great that interest rates go on, but what happens when interest rates goes on historically? Could be 6 months, a year and a half. They're indicating maybe a recession. So I think there's a lot of things that go to play.
Right. Well, I hear you on what you're saying about the recession, but I usually don't think about people should be making business decisions based on that notion now, because I believe we've been going into a recession less than 6 months from now for the last 3 years.
No, but I'm just saying, when you look, if you go back in history and you look at all rate cuts, there's typically a recession at some point within 6 to 2 years. It doesn't always happen. But that's sometimes an indication. That's what some people are concerned about.
Yeah.
The market had a real big hit a couple weeks ago. It's coming back slowly. Some indexes are trading at the highest they've ever traded at. So we'll you never know. At the end of the day, you know what they say on Long Island?
What
the deal? So you gotta look for the deal.
Yeah, you always got to look for the deal, and everybody's going to be looking for the deal. And I'm going to be at the lodging conference the week after next, and I'm going to be searching to get to the bottom of this, what people really think about this interest rate cut. And I'll tell you, Anthony, being that it's a financially based conference, I am sure that this is going to be a huge aspect of the news, even though I've been saying on stage for the last 6 months that there's definitely going to be a big rate cut before the election.
Well, I don't know if I said it here, but I said it will be 0.5%.
Yeah,
and of course, one of the presidents is saying, one of the nominees is saying, it's all a politically driven rate cut.
I'm sure
everything is politically driven.
I'm sure the rate cut that we probably had in fall of 2020 was not politically driven.
No,
it always happens. Always happens before an election. It doesn't matter. That's just what happens. Yeah.
I'm very curious of when you go searching, you said you're going searching. Do you wear a headlamp and a little helmet?
Yes. I just got my new pith helmet in from just the Pith's store. It's my favorite place to shop, and it's great. It fits me perfectly. And I'm really hoping to do some searching at the lodging conference, and then maybe in an abandoned mine right after that.
Right. So who knows? Well, listen, at the end of the day, hotels are built on P&Ls and sold on P&Ls, and we'll see. Just things are getting tighter, and 2.5% RevPAR growth, if you're lucky to get it, is tough. What's the number one or in the top 3 markets in the country is Boston. Is the Boston market, and I'm doing some work in Boston, and the rates are just on some days are just crazy. I mean, I think they're outperforming New York.
I have no idea. Wouldn't be surprised. Hey, Billy Bondbright says rate cut should help cap rate. Yeah, that's
you know who Billy Bondbright is?
I don't. I guess
Billy,
you do.
We should have you on. He ran a hotel called Casa Verde in Puerto Rico, and he was on my show, and we did some work with him, me and Jeremy, and he's a friend. He's a dear friend. So
thanks for tuning in, Billy.
And Billy, I think, are you still being a lifeguard?
That's really cool.
Billy's taking it easy. Yeah, he was on one of my favorite shows ever.
Actually, Kim is saying one of my favorite shows of yours, Anthony.
Wow, Kim, you're really good, man. You really know the shows. Yeah, he you know what? Not to go through the episode, but what Billy did was he was one of the few owners that just was very honest. and through honesty, you have growth. And his honesty was appealing to the audience and me. I think it was one of our hardest rated shows ever. And anyway, so that's who Billy is. He's a great guy.
All right, so I want to go back to what you were saying about salaries and stuff still rising. I've seen, nationally speaking, that seems to have, kind of been tempered. It's kind of everyone's gone as high as they can for now. Is that not what you're seeing when you're out there on the road and with the companies that you're working with?
Say it one more time. You broke up a little bit.
I'm seeing that we've kind of plateaued with the increases in salaries and compensation and stuff like that. From what I've been seeing in articles on a national basis, are you seeing that with the hotels that you've been working with?
Well, I won't. I would say this. I would say back in the day when it was harder to find a job because you had to wait till Sunday for the newspaper to come out and you had to know somebody. I think don't take your eye off the ball because it is so easy for people during work at their desk to go on one of these platforms like Indeed or whatever other platform you would use and look for a job similar that's paying $10,000 more, $15,000 more. But I also, it's not only the salary. The salary may have been capped. I really don't have enough data to tell you. I don't think it has been, but I think it's more about flexibility. Yeah. And I was just in a conference, leadership conference, 2 weeks ago. And somebody at the conference said there's a management company. I don't know which management company. They didn't say, but it was a high-end management company that ran high-end hotels. And they said they're letting their managers, front office managers, general managers, do 1 or 2 days from home. And one of the people in the room, who was president of the company, was like, "What? How does that work?" And if you take I'm not saying we should do this. I'm not a proponent of it. I'm just giving you information. And if you take a front office manager that's running a 400-room hotel, how many hours a week do they need to be doing schedules and payroll? Typically 4 to 6. Okay, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. And then there's other administrative work. There's reviews that they have to start writing. There's a lot of paperwork they have to do. So if they do that from home, if their shift is covered, because your front office manager shouldn't have to run a shift, could you give them a day in the office at home as long as they're getting all that stuff done and it's measurable and there's a standard behind it? I don't know. That's up to you. But more and more people throughout the industry and throughout businesses are asking for flexibility. And I think if you have a very talented person that you know is capable, I think you better not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And Anthony, what you are saying in terms of flexibility was just validated. I just finished a session with my friends over at Unifocus, and you guys can watch that session over at No Vacancy's LinkedIn page, as it was a LinkedIn Live event. And Michael Everett, EVP with Coral Tree, was saying exactly the same thing. It's all about flexibility, but also that career pathway thing that helps mitigate having to give people raises just to keep them in the same position that they're in right now.
Listen, people work for people. I think you have to pay them fairly. I think if somebody came to me and they were a superstar, I'm not going to lose them over a couple dollars.
Right.
So,
yeah. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense to me. What do you think about Blackstone selling Motel 6 to Oyo?
Well, I think it's fascinating that I didn't even realize Blackstone owned Motel 6.
I didn't know you were going to say that on air.
Hey man, I make myself look stupid all the time. It's endearing.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. What I love about people is that every once in a while we don't know something that you're like, what? How did I not know that?
Well, I was just in a conversation with someone, and they said to me something about tile. And I said, how about it's a black tile, what route you're going to use? And twice they said, no, just the fixtures. And twice I said, but how about the black tile? So yeah, my brain doesn't work on all cylinders all the time.
No. Well, yeah, I certainly know about that, especially since my cylinders seem to be also moving a little bit slower these days for sure. But really interesting, deal for Oreo. They came onto the scene big time. I think it was back in like 2019 here in the United States, and I remember them showing up that first year at the AhoaCon. It was like a huge, massive splash. They've gone on to operate several hundred hotels. They had a very interesting, unique business model, which I believe, don't quote me on this, was they help you renovate the property, and then they take more of a stake in the profits from the property that are out there. But the Motel 6 deal is a pretty big deal for these guys out there, and it should really help parlay them into a new level with the company. Hopefully, Julie Arrowsmith, president and CEO of G6, and the team will stay on board as they move forward. But I kind of like what they're doing in terms of who they're trying to appeal to. And at their annual conference that I went to in October of last year, Anthony, they were talking about how they want to appeal towards the younger travelers just starting out, like people that are just getting into going to see like live music and stuff like that on the road, and figure out ways to connect live music and pets to younger people and the lower budget that they're on.
I'll tell you who's done it well. I'm just going to take a very little example. The Rockaway Hotel in Rockaway, New York, that you can take a ferry from Manhattan to Rockaway. Mm-hmm. They have some of the best programming for music I've ever seen, as far as they really kind of program so well around their weddings, around their business meetings. But then on a Sunday afternoon at like 2:00, they have these great bands that you've heard of, that are indie bands that travel all over the country. And they just did such a great job of programming the hotel, and they have balconies, and everybody's sitting on the balconies, and they're overlooking so they do really drive young people into their food and beverage outlets.
Yeah, that's really an essential thing to be able to. And hey, let me do a quick shameless plug. Live music really helps generate a lot more cash, especially in that beveragey thing over there. I'm working with a great company called Creative Exchange. I'm not getting paid on you doing this, but they're really super awesome at helping you book live events. It's just you interact online. You're like, I want this genre of music. I can listen to all the bands under that genre of music. Then I say I want them to show up at this time. They handle the payments. They handle everything. So that way the general manager doesn't have to do boo, except welcome them to the facility. So I think it's a real fun, innovative type of program. So I just thought I'd throw that out there in context. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, because every single conference that you go to or you get paid to go to is the best conference it's ever existed. Mm-hmm. Correct?
No, there are some that are not the best.
Not the ones you don't get paid for, though.
But I still am enthusiastic about them. So forgive my.
So what are we as a company, not a company, but as an organization, as a business? What can we improve? What are opportunities? I'm getting older. I'm getting better at saying words. Yeah. What are better opportunities?
I will tell you what, Anthony. My verbal recall is having lots of problems searching out the right words these days. I don't know what happened.
But what I'm trying to say, instead of saying what are the problems, what are the opportunities?
Yes, totally. I think that there's great opportunities out there in the future to get closer to the customer. And I mean by really understanding what the needs and desires are of the customer, and then being able to create opportunities for them to spend money with you.
No, but I'm just saying in these conferenures.
Oh, in these conferences?
You go to all these conferences, you go to all these boards, you see a lot of the same faces.
Yep.
And I'm one of those faces. You're probably the top face. And you're moderating these panels.
Yep.
What can we do better as a convention, organization? What can we do better to have better interaction, better takeaways from these conventions?
All right. I think that there's a major Achilles heel when it comes to a lot of the way that these panels are set up. And a lot of times to be on a panel is a benefit of a sponsorship opportunity. And when you're putting people on panels because they're paying to be on the panel, and I'm not saying there's anything ethically wrong with that. We all have to make money. We all have to be successful. But what that does is it opens you up to not necessarily having a content focus first. And what becomes is you don't have necessarily the best individuals running the panels, and you don't have the best individuals on the panels. And a lot of times the content that's created because of that is not necessarily as highly educational and not as empowering and informative as it could and probably should be. So I see the educational programs of having a real opportunity to connect better with people out there and really educate them.
That's a really great answer. And I'm going to give you an A+ on that answer. I can't agree with you more. When did that change? When did people on the panel start getting paid to be on the panel or have to pay to get on the panel?
Not sure it was ever different for a lot of the major financial conferences.
Really?
Stuff.
I don't remember growing up. Again, I've never really went to a lot of them because I was busy running hotels. But I remember when I first started doing the rounds, I don't remember it being so pervasive.
It may not have been. There's probably some sort of creep that's occurred over there where it used to maybe be a percentage, but it mostly feels like all. And I want to say, in the full spirit of openness and honesty, I do not pay ever to host a panel. I do get paid a lot of times, but not always. I'm not getting paid to do the general session at the lodging conference, and I am not paying to do the general session.
Right. And we do a lot of stuff that's unpaid, just for the industry, and just it's good for us to be in the crowd.
Well, strategically, there's nothing better than to be on the main stage at the lodging conference in front of our community.
I got a call recently, I won't say from who, say, hey, if you come and, there's an opportunity to get in front of our audience, you can, you can pay us X amount of dollars and we'll let you host a panel. And I said to them, go back in your database. And you guys always ask me to come and do it and pay me for it. So I'm certainly not going to pay to be on the panel. So I'm just saying it's getting more pervasive, and I'm very, very stingy with what panels I go on, because if I feel I'm sitting next to somebody that's full of shit, I'm not going to be on that panel, because I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable by disagreeing with them. And I don't want to be uncomfortable. So I'm careful of what panels I sit on. It's typically, and one of the things I will say is that it's a breath of fresh air, is there's a lot of people on these panels today. And I would just say that there's some really honest and authentic people on some of these panels. And some of them, and there's a couple of people that come to mind that you know all of them, that are just really professional, but really are very, very honest.
Yes, which I absolutely love. And then they're also really good at being able to get in their messaging and talking points as well, but it feels more organic and not forced.
Because they believe it.
Yeah,
right? They believe it.
But the big mistake that people do that don't have the level of experience that are paying sponsorships to be on there is they use that as an opportunity to sell as opposed to educate. And the best way to connect with the audience and actually make a sale is to not sell in those circumstances. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, the way to make the best sales ever is not to sell. People have sold me stuff, never tried to sell me anything.
Yeah,
I was just buying some shirts. This weekend. I was at the store that you hooked me up on. Remember the first clothing store we went in together?
Yep.
Which store?
Was that Nordstrom?
Untucked.
Oh yeah, Untuck It.
Yeah, Untuck It. And so So I'm wearing an Untuck It shirt myself.
Oh, cool.
And,
I like
and
that
so,
by the way.
Thank you. So I went in, and I just needed a bunch of shirts. And she was just wonderful. The salesperson was relatively new. You can tell she was new, but she never tried to sell me anything. And I think I bought 12 shirts.
Wow.
Yeah. And she didn't try to sell me anything.
That's 12
awesome. Items. I bought 12 items. I went in for 3 and I bought 12. Just because the way she was hanging out with me, and we were just kind of talking, and my wife was there, and it was just really simple and easy. And before I knew it, and we got a 25% discount because my wife's a teacher. And I was like, wow, that's really good. But my point being is, I agree. You sell by not selling.
Yeah. All right, so Dr. Producer Suzanne is doing a panel over at the hospitality show. She says is wicked cool, little Boston there for you. Bold tech for business, for boutique success, enhancing the guest experience. Dina Bellon from Stay Pineapple is going to be at that. I just secured her for a panel I'm doing with my friends over at Hotel Business and Direct TV. Michael Session, Michelle Session Jensen, Christy Goshow from KSL. I was hoping she was going to do that panel, but she couldn't make it. A lot of really great people.
Which panel is this?
Bold Tech for Boutique Success, enhancing the guest experience on October 29th.
And where is it?
The hospitality show in San Antonio. Are you going to be going to that this year? I'll be there. All right. He will.
It's got the wrong words behind it.
It does?
San Antonio.
Oh, you're not allowed. I forgot you're not allowed in Texas.
I'm not allowed in Texas. I went to basic training in Texas. I still have. No. I probably won't make it this year.
That's really too bad. Actually, hey Suzanne, I'd love to get Dina on the full show sometime. I just shot a video with her at Southern Lodging Summit. She's gonna do this panel with me. She's great. Also, I did something with her back in April. She's fantastic. You're gonna really like Dina. She's got the right attitude for this business, and she's trying to set things up. And one of the cool things, Anthony, they're a management company, and they're like, you got to be 100% on board with our quirkiness and individuality, or we're not going forward with this deal. It's really it's not a take a little this, take a little that kind of scenario.
I think it's so difficult for management companies to make money. And you need a lot of hotels to make money in the management. And again, I've said this before. One of the reasons I never started my own management company, I always had a consulting company, is because I don't want other people's problems for very little money, right? And so these management companies have to really kind of gear up to own a lot of hotels.
Yeah.
And so the only management companies I've seen that have worked, that have been very, very successful, are companies like that, the Cohen, right? They own their own hotels, or a lot of their hotels, and they're in it for the right reasons. And there's a lot of them out there, but there's also a lot that just want scale. They just want, because they got to make that percentage. So when you have a quirky management company that's demanding that you come to their standard, you probably, if you listen to them, you'll probably be very successful, because they're not looking to be everything to everyone. Right. And, when you're everything to everyone, you're no one to anything.
That's right. I call that.
Use it as a bumper sticker if you'd like.
No, the truth. I say that from time to time. I also say being stuck in the mushy middle. You don't really know what you are when you're trying to appeal to everyone.
Yeah. Mediocrity is worse than being worse than below mediocrity. Mediocrity is the worst, because if you're mediocre, that means you have the potential to be better. If you just suck, you don't really have the potential to be better.
Right. You could. You just don't.
Right. If you're kind of like, I'm mediocre, you're a mediocre management company. Well, if you focused and you hired a couple of pivotal people, you probably could be superstars.
Yeah. So, all right, I got to think up a new name for my management company. I was going to go with mediocre management, but oh well.
My mother's matzo ball management.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One more topic for us to talk about. Hey, Anthony, how you liking about having to tip every 3 seconds in your life?
Okay. I have a problem with that. This is the problem. I'm a good tipper, so I feel bad. So, but like this morning, I said I went in to get my little tea from a brand you may recognize. Yeah. And I don't drink coffee. I just drink tea sometimes. And they walked away, and the credit card thing came around, and I put $1, and I usually put 20%. But because when they turned around, I was like, I'm just giving them $1. They weren't that nice. They're usually nice. But anyway, my point being is it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But what happened when Danny Myers tried to have tips all inclusive and it didn't work? Why didn't it work?
So everybody just needs to know Danny Meyer, famous restaurateur. You probably know him today behind Shake Shack, but he's got a lot of great high-end restaurants in New York City, for example. It didn't work because people didn't want to pay the 20% more. There's something psychological going on over there, where you see a menu item for X dollars, and you compare it to every other restaurant without considering the tax, the tip and all of that kind of stuff. And then you just make it 20% more. Psychologically, people don't see.
Well, it's the same thing with I don't know who said it to me, but recently they're like, well, just put that fee in the rate. Don't make it an extra fee. Just put it in the rate. I was like, it doesn't work. And they're like, because you put that $20 in the rate, you're $220 and your competition's $200. So it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Like, you have to be competitive on rate. And then if you're charging a destination fee or whatever you're charging, it's got to be separate. But then you got to add a lot of value for that destination fee.
Yeah.
And if you went into a hotel that had a destination fee that had real value to it, you wouldn't. So let me ask you a question. If you went into a hotel and they charge you $20 or $25 for a destination fee, but they gave you $25 in food and beverage,
right,
for breakfast or drinks, like, they're kind of forcing you to eat in their hotel, but they have expenses. So how do you feel about that?
I think that's a much closer step to making me less pissed than charging me a $25 destination fee that means nothing except for putting $25 extra in the hotel.
No, but you get free phone calls
and a free newspaper if I come down to the guest desk and ask for one. Yeah.
and a free, I was going to say, free yellow pages. Whatever happened to the yellow pages in the hotels?
Dude,
never talk about that.
One time there was this casino resort that had they had notary services included in that. Yeah. So I wanted to just go down and get shit notarized just to feel like I was.
But it's more like the brands are, if they have destination fees, they're letting or telling the owners that there's got to be at least $100 worth of value. So if you have $25 destination fee, the guest has got to get $100 worth of value, whatever that is, and that makes sense. And and I don't mind having breakfast in the hotel or having a drink in the hotel. No. It's just basically saying we're making you stay in our hotel.
Right. Or, I also like the idea of, come on down and have a free cocktail on us, because chances are you're going to buy a second one, maybe a third one, or have somebody with you and do all of that kind of stuff. So you can turn it into a cash generation. All right. Billy is asking, I know we talked about this at the beginning. STR has 2025 RevPAR 2.6% forecasted, occupancy 63.4%, ADR increased by 2%. You kind of mentioned those numbers, but do you agree with the findings, Billy?
It's funny. Thank you for bringing that up, Billy. The answer is yes, because one of the things that I'm concerned about typically, and almost every year, and you the last several years, you've seen me, they go out with a 4.0, or somebody goes out with 4.0 RevPAR, 80, whatever they do. And I always disagree, right? You've always, every year this time, you hear me disagree with what they're putting out there, right or wrong. Do you remember?
Right.
Okay.
I don't follow it too much. All I know is they continue
to listen to me.
No. It's the numbers, they just continue to be revised so often.
No, but what I'm saying at this point, this is budget season. So this is when those numbers matter.
Right.
Okay. So this is budget season. And this is the first year. And I always, I love starting a great company, but I always kind of think it's a little less, or maybe they'll get a little more, whatever. This year, I agree 100%. I agree with everything that they put out. It's everything I'm seeing in the field. I think, why don't you pull those numbers up again, if you can?
All right, I'm doing it now. Also, I would say that whenever we talk about national numbers like this, that's just what it is, national numbers. Yeah, not the perspective of your particular community.
I like that it's only a 2% ADR increase. I think they're right. I think, and most of that will probably come from group, and not maybe transient. I think you're going to see a little bit weaker in transient rate, maybe on the weekends. I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure. I'm not in every market in the country, but I think a 2.6 RevPAR growth year over year is fair. I think it's going to happen. I think that's what the number is going to be. However, when you have a 2.6% RevPAR growth with only 2% coming from revenue, you have to really keep your expenses tight this year. You have to really, really have really good managers that understand how to read and manage a profit and loss statement, because that 2.6% can get lost real quick.
Billy also is curious as to follow up. CBRE has a current cap rate at 8%. How would the current reduction in Fed rate affect this?
You know what? I don't have enough information to tell you.
Yeah, neither do I.
What's that? Again, you look at the cap rate. What is the cap rate based on? The cap rate is based on the deal, right?
Right.
A cap rate's based on the deal. So it really depends the market. It depends the deal. Obviously, it depends the interest rates. So I couldn't answer that question intelligently there, Billy.
Yeah, but if you want to hear us do some stupid questions, keep asking answers, then give us some more
Hey,
questions.
Billy, in my phone, a picture came up of me and you on the beach in our rash guards yelling at each other. And we weren't really yelling. We were just,
I get you.
we were talking loudly.
That's hysterical. All right. So, Anthony, tomorrow you're going to be with us?
Yes, I will be.
I love it. That's fantastic. All right. So we'll have another great show for you tomorrow. Can't remember who the guest is right now, but that doesn't matter because you're going to follow us anywhere, wherever you get your podcast, and you can listen to it at your leisure. Or why not watch us and see Anthony's great colored shirt today on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and of course, all shows are housed at novacancynews.com. Great seeing you today, man.
Well, it's good to be seen, my friend.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you all later. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on, and
Be kind to yourself.
bye, everyone.